Hi, everybody. Monday on Astral Oracles. Thank you for being here. Somebody sent me a donation recently. Classic cakes. Thank you so much. I both very much appreciated the donation, but also cakes and classics are a few of my favorite things. So that was a ray of sunshine. Thank you so much for that. And thank you to those of you who support me on Patreon as well, and who have donated to the work and the practice through the years. See, I'm coming up on my 7-year anniversary for the Kundalini phenomenon crystallization. And it seems things are wrapping up in interesting cyclical ways in my life. I feel like I'm coming full circle, and I see a lot of polishing going on in my life, and by that I actually mean an experience of life also meeting me with a slight dissonance that's kind of showing me my own definitions and surfaces, and where that is exactly what we call the boundary, the membrane between the personal and the objective world out there. So it's a interesting time to be alive, both personally and of course also collectively. And my sense of it is that there will be a lot of ruptures, disruptions, reconfigurations, things falling apart and then being ordered in smaller, more harmonic units as we proceed in this year. And that might also relate to some of what we're going to see in July. But we shall see, and looking forward to that. So with that, I send you my love, and I'm gonna turn it over to our friend Umblam and the rest of the ninth dimension Arcturian Council to see what we can expect of the energies in this coming month of July 2024. Much love out there, guys. This is your friend Umlam speaking to you from the ninth dimension and beaming a ray of unconditional love, a frequency from the center of our being and to the center of your being. We are aligning centers in this respect, and we are aligning them with the force of love. Whenever you get a little off balance, you can return to this message. Aligning gravity fields in the center of your heart. This is the title which we have given this transmission, this energy reading of your month of July 2024. Centers of gravity exist on every level of creation. The phenomenon that you call mass, the solid world, matter itself, is gravitational. It's arranged in a great band of being which stretches and folds, but never disconnects and never disrupts. So there are no severed threads in the energetic realities. There are only these pulse disruptions. So there's a lot to get bent out of shape about. But there's really no reason to start unraveling at the seams. You may notice that a thing I, your friend I enjoy as we connect in this frequency of love is also to play around in this medium of language that you have. In that way, we learn to understand a little more of how our energy and influence and the frequency of love can be adapted to other ways of vibing, other ways of signaling, other ways of transmitting. Because your language is also full of these gravitational centers. A lot of them do the fundamental hewing and hawing of the great planetary bodies. They hold moons into place. They allow for meteors to be drawn in. They keep everything structured. Notice how your pronouns diligently make shorthand of significance. He did this, she said this, it did that, that came to pass. They tie everything together, while these small articles of the and A, these helpful little words, they form massive gravitational fields which keep everything in order, cycling, rotating around these spheres of meaning. Then you have certain black holes, realms of semantic upset, things you are drawn to, swear words, other ways of disrupting the flows of the more regular, wordy celestial bodies, and allowing that instead to be sucked in by these voids or pits of significance. Why are we pointing to this? Well, because we would like you to understand that just as we began our transmission by connecting to you through a frequency of pure love, because this is the tether, this is the frequency, this is a band of communication that we are using. And the frequency of love is so pure, it is so unchanging, that this is the frequency which is the easiest for beings of the light to communicate and create these superspatial, supertemporal highways of energy and emotional exchange. These missions and emissions, transmissions, which we engage in order to touch the human heart and in order to also feel your heart alive in ours. And so this is a different gravitational field. And you are learning quite physically that this is its own pull. This wants to exert its own gravity. It's trying to invest parts of reality which are not heavy, which are still just small particles of dust, but which may become, if they connect to your heart, the new points of attraction, which create new celestial bodies, new stars, and eventually new black holes. These are connected and aligned in your heart, and this is the process you need to undertake. So whatever you are seeing out there, which is exerting a pull, which is warping you out of shape, know that this is a type of gravitational derailment that you are experiencing on the emotional, physical, semantic, verbal level. So you are being drawn to these, let's call them black holes of upset, dense gravitational fields of negative emotion, which you feel is out there. And your need to either define these as good or bad, as something that you are in approval of, or that you are in rejection of, these are actually secondary. Because just as one planetary body circles another in your Newtonian space, then also a mind circles a greater idea, a greater field of energy, and it moves in its circumference. So it covers both the negative and the positive aspects. And simply the fact that you place yourself in rotation to this phenomenon is the problem, not where you place yourself in relationship to it. And we are using the word problem here because this is a frequency that is fundamental to your energy system. This is one of these very dark gravitational fields, one of these words which you might find draws in people around the planet, around feelings of need, of want, of lack, and of fervor. You find this feeling of the problem. Something must be different. Something needs to be presented. I am this, I am not that. They must understand me this way and not that way. They must see me for all these things that I purport myself to be, and they must validate my story. So you see, you're yourself, you have become the most immediate problem in all of your lives. And it was meant to happen. It was bound to happen. You are beginning to see many of you who have moved up to these self-generating gravitational centers, these cycles of energetic, soulful, spiritual depth that you have realized and begun to hone in your bodies. Many of you are then beginning to see how it was that personality had to climb all its way up into the sublime conceit of being the all-seeing eye that regulates itself, to fall apart and become not the eye, but actually everything, that the eye attempts to see the sum of everything collected in you, in one specific body, in one specific radiance. And you will also see that you were placed in these fragmented and disjointed realities as a way for you to break out of the chrysalis structure of the self. And you will find that this is a process which is mirrored, so that you have been together in this experience of the aloneness of the soul. So you're climbing out of all these restrictions, these patterns, these gravitational centers that you have been forced around, that aren't of your own creation and that have warped you into it. And you have had the sense that you have become more and more disjointed. And now, then, you are being linked and put back in together into natural circuitries which sit in your body and your mind. But the contrast will be great in this month to come, which is to say that you will find, for many of you, a present internal struggle to be playing out, where you might feel it is as if there are two characters which within you, which you need to choose between, so that you are forced to select which one to become. And they shall join hands eventually. But you will find that this sense of dissonance is exacerbated. And it is, in this month, in direct proportion to the work that you personally have done. So you will find that dissonance might not necessarily, in your personal case, be present for you. And this will be a sign that the work here is, to some extent, already done. So right now our friend here is having the fairly unique experience during these energy transmissions, that we are also informing him that he may not feel this dissonance, which is playing out quite vividly in his life, because he's locked into a different cycle of time completion at the moment. So in many ways he has been removed from the flows and cycles of time to an extent where he has been able to recompose and is now being weaved back into them. And this is happening to people all over the planet, but at slightly different adaptation scales and speeds. And for this reason, some of you will find that this month of July is one where harmony begins to radiate through you. And you find that it is as if when it touches other pieces of reality, it begins to restore and harmonize those as well. And this can be a type of aesthetic dissonance for you to observe. That is when you are harmonically centered, then the way you will experience your frequency affect other things is first that its imbalances will begin to appear, become more charged and more vivid, and then you will find it beginning to collapse into a more steady state. And this is also happening in those global gravitation centers you have created, your polities, your systems of power, that they are reordering themselves. And they are doing so in accordance to deeper lines of energy which are already there. So you may think that this is a process which has a lot of personal phases, and it is for you to decide or pick your leader. But the case is, it's actually for you to pick your frequency or your energy. That is, it's all you're doing, because you will find that you yourself, you are a type of foam, a condensation of a great wave of movement or stirring of the entire ocean as it breaks into time and space. And so are everyone else. All of you are avatars of great divine forces which are playing out and squaring themselves through the stage play of the world. So know that you can simply feel this harmony begin to rotate within you, and you can go with the sensation of whether or not you are getting bent in and out of shape. And you will find that sometimes contortions will help you feel greater alignment, whereas attempting to keep rigid and still will make you feel still, immovable, and frail. So allow for this bending to happen. Allow for the gravitational centers to arise and begin to stabilize themselves within you. Allow for the flows, the harmonies, the attractions, and the circuits of love to establish themselves within you. You are on track. You are a being of infinite radiance, creating worlds as you also live in them. You are an expression of a mystery which is greater than we can convey to you, and which is greater than we ourselves wholly understand. But most certainly, you were created in love, and you are in this moment made of love, vibrating love, tuning in to this great network of emotion, of connection, of gratitude, in pure existence, in being, in love. So we wish you an enjoyable 31 planetary rotations in this month and measurement of your time, July 2024. I, Umblam, on behalf of your family in the ninth dimension, the Arcturian Council, and on behalf of all of your galactic brethren, I depart this day in love. Farewell. Yes, I hope that served you guys. Have a wonderful month of July out there.